broadcasting from the Liberatory CPA studios. Welcome back to Politics and Profits. Well, as you know, the American economy is going in the way of the gig economy. More and more individuals are going out on their own. More and more individuals are doing startups and taking their background and taking their expertise and trying to turn that into their own version of the American dream. However, as the old saying goes, you don't know what you don't know. Most people come from their own background, whether it be marketing or finance, and may not know how to do the full circle of the business that they're running because they have their own unique background. My next guest is the author of a book called Lay an Egg and Make Chicken Soup. It's how to take your background with its blind spots and the things you don't know and avoid the pitfalls, avoid the failures which so many other people make. As he says, the devil is in the details. Join me this time via Skype from Austin, Texas, is Arie Brish. Arie, good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you, Rick.
So Arie, so many people go out on their own, and in your book you point out that, it's one thing to raise capital. That's important. But once you raise that capital, it's now more important to execute, deliver to your investors by delivering on the execution of your business, and this is where people fail. What are some of the key points that you see people doing wrong that are more common than other areas?
Okay, thanks for having me, first of all. So this is the book, just so people can get the visual when you see it on Amazon. And I think as of this week, it becomes available also in brick and mortar shops. The book became overnight bestseller on Amazon, which surprised me, frankly.
Wow!
So I started to write all these notes as an executive in corporate America, as well as CEO and co-founder of startups. And now I spend significant amount of time mentoring other young entrepreneurs in different accelerators and even partnering with universities' entrepreneurship programs. One thing I realized that a common thread that keeps coming back to my desk is people come up with great ideas. I enjoy being the mentor because you learn so much from these young people. But then on the other hand, as you said, they are not aware of all the blind spots that facing their way, and they're going 100 miles per hour into a tree. So my role as a gray hair in this ecosystem is to tell them where the trees and the speed bumps are hiding, so they plan ahead.
How do you know where these trees and speed bumps are? Instinctively, one would think that those trees and speed bumps would be unique to a business, unique to an industry. But you're saying that you're able to speak with entrepreneurs from all backgrounds and point them in the right direction.
An excellent question, Rick. And the structure of the book is intentionally very diverse. What I learned over my career is that different industries can learn from each other if you train your mind to think in generic terms and not in something specific to your industry. And over the years, I'm watching different industry. You can watch a service practice in a hospital and apply it in your boutique fashion shop, or you can watch airline doing something this or that and apply it in your machine automotive repair shop, or computer manufacturer. So you can learn from different industries, and I made an effort in the book to be very diverse, to train people to learn from other examples. So last time I counted, I have 25 different industries covered in the book, from gaming, from computers, of course, high-tech, software, hardware, automotive, airlines, anything, you name it, pharmaceutical, and each example doesn't focus on this particular industry. It just demonstrates an issue that I'm trying to bring to the table or to the reader. So going back to your question, one issue that people sometimes don't pay enough attention to is the importance of the ecosystem to your success. So sometimes it's to kind of blame the investors in many cases where they drive you to make profits too early, prematurely in your venture. What I preach in the book is try to recruit your ecosystem to provide you with a tailwind that will push you forward in the same direction you want. And different examples of ecosystem dependent, highly ecosystem dependent industries, but every industry has an ecosystem. You're dependent on your channel partners, you're dependent in some cases on the government, you're dependent on the media speaking well about you, and you have to recruit all these people or all these entities in the ecosystem to drive your new venture or new product into the same direction. Otherwise, if they pull each one to a different direction, you're most likely going to fail.
Interesting. That's something I wouldn't have thought of. Get the momentum. Get the momentum.
Yeah,
Key
exactly.
players in each industry can provide that momentum. What are some of the most common mistakes you see from people who go out and raise money, have this idea, and now it's time to execute?
Another issue that in many cases fail some new ventures or new products, both in large companies as well as startups, is the phenomena of learning curve or experience curve. When you go out with a new idea or new product, it always costs you more to execute per unit or per customer acquired. If you're a new restaurant or a new hair salon or selling new type of computers, the cost of the initial products or initial customer served is way higher than what you can afford to charge for these people. So some new businesses make the mistake of charging the customers based on the cost. But if your initial cost is $100 and your customers are only willing to pay $20 for this service, and you try to charge them $100, they will never buy it, and you'll never come down on the learning curve to the cost that allow you to sell it for $20. So you really need to budget for the first, whatever the number is, 2,000 customers or the first 20,000 customers, to subsidize the service or the product because they are not going to pay you as much as you pay for your suppliers.
Wow. Final question, Arie. And I've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs over the years, and they say that, you mentioned investors earlier, and they say that investors end up being a distraction to their business. They're maybe have unrealistic expectations. Maybe they're contacting the entrepreneur constantly, asking this, asking that. What's your advice on how to set up that relationship with investors?
Yeah, good question. So the trick here, as we said, in the ecosystem, your investors are part of the ecosystem. So part of the job of the CEO, and some people will tell you the main job of the CEO is to manage the investors, and that's not too far away from the truth. So one thing to do initially, if you can, is to make sure that you and your investors are aligned with the vision and the purpose and the milestones of the business. Otherwise, if you are the founder and you have a major disagreement with the investors, you're going to find yourself out of your own company that you founded. And that happens very often. One of my past CEO jobs, I was hired by the investor to replace the founders. And so that happens very often. So you need to be really picky. It's hard to say that, because if somebody wave $1 million check in front of you, you have the tendency to grab it. But you really need to, in best case situation, the world is never perfect, but in best case situation, you need to make sure that the strings attached to this $1 million check are not too prohibited.
Yeah, not too prohibited, realistic. You mentioned a CEO, their main job being manage the investors. That just hearing you say that it just I imagine that sucks out so much time and energy of managing the business.
Yes, correct. So smart investor, if you get yourself aligned with the investors, you don't have to spend so much time in managing the investors. That's like 10 or 20% of your job. If there is no alignment and you find yourself being micromanaged and talk to the investors on the phone, 3 hours a day, obviously it's a distraction from the execution. So that's exactly the importance.
Do you cover that in your book, how to align yourself with your investors?
Yes, so the main thing is to align the vision of your idea, and most likely the investors will not write you a check if they don't agree with you initially, but you have to look further. It's like almost like finding a date. You can meet an attractive date somewhere, but it doesn't mean that you guys are meant forever.
It's probably
stay married for 50 years.
Probably a good analogy. All right. Arie Brish, author of the book Lay an Egg and Make Chicken Soup. As you say, the devil's in the details. Important topic. It does not get discussed in business enough. In fact, you may be the first person I've come across who is discussing this. We thank you for joining us. That book available, ladies and gentlemen, at Amazon.com and hitting the brick and mortar stores. There it is. Overnight bestseller at Amazon. Arie, we thank you, and we look forward to bringing you back again in the near future. Get your take on some other related topics.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
All right. Broadcasting from the Liberatory CPA studios on the EAN TV network. We're back after this.
Politics and Profits with Rick Amato is brought to you by Liberatory Accounting, the IRS problem solvers. To find out how Liberatory Accounting can help you, call 877-6-SOLVER. That's 877-6-SOLVER.